It's a blessing to be with you today, and I trust you're having a good week. God's hand is on your life. Today I'd like to go to the book of Proverbs. So many wonderful perspectives from God's heart here in this book. And a verse that God used to challenge me in my high school years when I gave my heart to the Lord. God used this verse to help me not capitulate to the pressures that I was feeling as a teenager. I went to a public school, and in the early days, our youth group was struggling, and there were just pressures from every side. But God had really worked in my heart to serve Him, and I surrendered to the ministry, and I began to see God work in our youth group, and even saw some things happen in the school in which I had the privilege of attending. And this verse simply says, verse 10 of chapter 24 of Proverbs, "If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small." And I remember when I first read this, I would read at that time the proverb that corresponded to the day of the month. And I remember when I read this, it was just like it just hit me with full force. Electricity, so to speak, went through me spiritually. And I remember the times that I would faint and think, do I need to get up early like I was doing to have devotions? And this is hard, taking a stand at the public school and trying to really encourage other members of the youth group to do what was right, and other pressures that I was facing. And I remember sometimes just wanting to almost quit. But God made it very clear, what you are made of is seen when the pressure is on. Oh, you can look good when things are going fine. But when the trial comes and when the pressures are there, if you faint, then your strength is small. In other words, you don't know anything about a genuine walk with God. And folks, we need to understand that trials are good for us because they reveal to us, that adversity reveals to us who we really are, how much we really love the Lord, how much spiritual transformation has occurred to develop character in our life that God can use, how much we are truly committed, if we are really surrendered. And we need to embrace those difficulties, because that revelation of who we are is something that can humble us and then allow God to work if we respond right, and then we can become stronger and stronger. And so these are not days for us to quit or faint. We need to, when we see how weak we are and we see that our strength is small, we need to tell the Lord, Lord, I am not going to stumble under this. I'm not going to let fear grip me. I'm not going to let discouragement grip me. I'm not going to let the pressures of the world's thinking overcome me. I want to be all that you want me to be. And I trust, just like this was a challenge to me as a teenager, it'll be a challenge to you today, that if you faint in that day of adversity, you're looking to the wrong place for strength. You don't have that regular dependence upon God. Your development of spiritual maturity is not there where it ought to be. We ought not be going in and out of walking with God. We ought to be always walking with God, certainly knowing our weakness, but looking to Him for strength and staying consistent through the good times and through the bad times. So let's embrace the difficulties that come, and let us just from the depths of our heart say we are not going to faint in that day of adversity.